Yuzoto questions Rose why he has to accompany Inakami on her training when Kazuki had Seagless with him. Rose tells him that he was supposed to accompany Kazuki as well, but he had just returned from his training in the forest, so she refused. However, this time around, King Lloyd sent another request and she couldn't refuse him. Inakami is also shocked that Yuzoto will accompany them, but the thing that excites her the most is the fact that Blurn is also with them. Yuzoto explains that Blurn doesn't allow anyone else to touch him, so he has to take him along. Inakami then introduces other members that will be accompanying them as Eriku the Knight and Karin the Mage. With this, Rose addresses Inakami and informs her that Yuzoto's healing magic is not omnipotent, it can heal fatal injuries and even detoxify poison, but it cannot bring back the dead, urging her to not take it for granted. With this, Rose leaves as Inakami comments on how strong she is. In the meantime, Kazuki is training to hone his sword skills as the princess interrupts him. She scolds him to training even though he returned yesterday. Kazuki reassures her that he's completely fine and such things won't affect him at all. Hearing this, the princess starts blushing and wishes him luck for his training. On their way, Inakami informs Yuzoto that Kazuki learned some valuable lessons during his training and fought some formidable opponents as well in the darkness of Linger. Upon hearing this, Yuzoto immediately remembers Blurn and his family that got slaughtered by the massive snake, wondering if Blurn misses his family. At that moment, Inakami questions if Blurn is going to wake up soon, to which Yuzoto replies negatively. Seizing the opportunity, Inakami asks Yuzoto to allow her to touch him, but he forbids. He even hits her hand, which makes her wonder if he has turned into a sadist. Suddenly, Blurn wakes up and Yuzoto puts him on the ground, so he can walk on his own. However, his movements are somewhat sloppy, and seeing this, Inakami offers to carry him. Much to Yuzoto's surprise, Blurn hops on her back, but he was way too heavy for Inakami to carry as she succumbs to the ground under Blurn's weight. Yuzoto even had to heal her and scolds her afterwards for getting hurt outside the battlefield. Following this, Karin senses multiple entities ahead and warns all of them to stay wary. Eriku wonders if they are monsters, but it turns out some mercenaries were hiding to ambush them. They threaten Eriku to hand over their valuables, but he refuses. In the meantime, Yuzoto reassures Inakami that these guys are no big deal, but much to his surprise, Inakami is actually excited after seeing them. Just then, the bandits catch a glimpse of Blurn and shit their pants, thinking that Yuzoto and the others have even tamed a blue grizzly. However, just as they realize that Blurn is just a cub, their confidence skyrockets and they even threaten to skin him alive if they listen to them. Hearing this, Inakami activates her lightning magic and takes down one of them. Seeing that Inakami has perfect control over her magic, Yuzoto allows her to go wild and even calls her the human electric eel, which slightly irritates her. Just then, Karin senses some more creatures, and this time around, they are different. Suddenly, fall boars appear from the forest, which startles Eriku since they are not supposed to be present in this part of the forest. Just as one of the boars is about to strike Yuzoto, Blurn gets in the way and saves him, but this is not the case with Inakami, as one of them actually manages to strike her. However, Yuzoto comes in clutch and somehow manages to protect her, but the boar hurls them into the sky and they end up in a river. Yuzoto keeps healing himself and Inakami so they don't face any significant injuries. As they are flowing in the river, Yuzoto notices that it is the same river he came across previously and realizes that there is a waterfall ahead. He instructs Inakami to hold her breath as both of them fall off the waterfall and Yuzoto loses consciousness. Inakami gets him out of the river, and as she is carrying him, Yuzoto wakes up, urging that he's completely fine. This embarrasses Inakami as Yuzoto tells her that he was just taking a breather after she pulled him out of water. He then suggests that they heal the wound on her face first. As he is healing her, Inakami apologizes for dragging him into all this, but Yuzoto reassures her that he's glad that both of them got stranded together. Despite all this, he wasn't expecting to return to this place this quickly. This shocks Inakami as Yuzoto tells her that Captain Rose dumped him into this forest for training and it is teeming with weird monsters far dangerous compared to the fall boars they encountered earlier. Following this, Yuzoto analyzes their circumstances as Inakami suggests that they prioritize getting out of this place, but Yuzoto tells her that it will be dark soon, so they have to spend the night here. Looking for a spot to camp, Yuzoto tells her that he slept on a branch previously, but since Inakami hasn't climbed a tree before, they cannot do that. Seeing her gloomy face, Yuzoto realizes that Inakami must belong to a wealthy family that shelters their daughter from the outside world. Just then, he notices a cave nearby and suggests that they spend the night there. With this, he asks Inakami to change her clothes as she tells him to not sneak a peek, but much to her surprise, Yuzuto wasn't even thinking about this. Following this, they utilize Inakami's lightning magic to catch some fish and even light a fire. Yuzuto also takes off his wet clothes and sits there half naked. Inakami, on the other hand, is sitting with her face to the other side as Yuzuto apologizes for making things awkward. She even sneaks a peek at Yuzuto's muscles and comments that he has even gotten ripped than before. Suddenly, some mysterious monsters appear out of nowhere and Yuzuto recognizes them as venom monkeys. He wants Inakami to not pet them since they are poisonous, but she doesn't listen to him and gets bit, falling unconscious. In the meantime, news has reached Kazuki that Inakami and Yuzuto are missing in the forest. Enraged, he questions the king regarding the search party as the king informs him that a search party is being assembled and will be dispatched tomorrow. Kazuki, however, is way too impatient as he announces that he'll head out to search for them immediately. Rose, however, forbids him, stating that Yuzuto is more than capable to protect himself and if Inakami is with him, she'll be safe as well. With all of this going on, Yuzuto and Inakami are having the time of their life as Yuzuto comments that Inakami's presence has made surviving in the wild a piece of cake. This makes her question if Yuzuto is using her as a tool for camping. Following this, they decide to sleep with Inakami, volunteering to stay awake in the beginning. As Yuzuto is about to sleep, Inakami questions him regarding his life in this world and if he wants to return. She tells him that she doesn't want to return and upon inquired about it she further tells him that the previous world was like a jail for her and she always wanted to leave for somewhere else. The same is the case for Yuzuto as he wants to save the people of this kingdom as a member of the rescue squad. With this, both of them vow to save this kingdom from the Demon King's tyranny. It also feels like Yuzuto is developing a slight crush on Inakami. The following morning, they finally come across Blurren and Eriku who have been looking for them for quite some time now. Eriku is extremely affected by all that traveling and Yuzuto heals him. As they are conversing, Blurren smells something and ends up at the place where his parents were killed. Despite all this, Blurren has strengthened his resolve to move forward and accompany Yuzuto. With this, all of them leave for their home. Yuzuto and Inakami's relationship has developed quite a lot in this episode and it seems like both of them have slight feelings for each other as well. I'm curious as to how their relationship will further develop. Make sure to like and subscribe, so you don't miss out on anything.